Welcome to Hey Dad Podcast. Real dads, tough issues, and a genuine love for a fatherless generation. Hey, this is the Hey Dad Podcast. Welcome. I'm a dad. So is this guy. So is that guy. That's Frank Lamelli. That's Rick Rivera. And I'm Chris Lawler. And we're here to help you. We don't get paid nothing for this. In fact, we pay for the privilege of doing this. To bring this advice to you because our heart is for this generation that has grown up either without fathers or sketchy relationships with dads. And, you know, they just need sometimes a little bit of mentorship, and that's what we're giving you, topic by topic by topic.
Yes.
Today, we're going to talk a little bit about humility.
Yes.
Humility is one of the greatest attributes of a man or a woman, but it's also one of the slipperiest ones to hang on to, like soap in a bathtub, because we get good at things in life, and wherever your skills grow, there's something that tends to get buried underneath, and that's humility. You start thinking you're full of yourself, you know? So we're going to talk about that in regards to relationships, to work, and everything else, and see where it goes.
Well, I have something that just happened recently.
Yeah.
We have this big project that we're doing for a client. And if for all of those that out there that you know what it takes to do a big project, is part of it is you have inspections. So these inspectors come out from the city, and they're actually the ones that tell you yay or nay.
This is construction work.
It's construction work.
Okay.
Yeah, and they basically, you have to listen to what they say. Now, where humility plays part in this.
Because they can just shut a whole project down
for the dumbest things. But, you know, there's a lot of guys out there, a lot of contractors. I'm a general contractor, so you have to choose who you're going to be. And the best way to be is to be real and to have humility before your higher authority. Meaning that we had an incident where we jumped through hoops to get to this point. And at the very end where we have 1 day, actually on the day that we had the deadline, if we did not get a permit, we're shut down, we can't revisit the job. I mean, everything was on this. And you can imagine I'm in charge of this whole thing. So I'm going to rely on this man that I hope woke up on the right side of bed. And I don't make him any angrier than he may be. And the reason why I said it is because inspectors have a bad reputation. So the guy comes, says everything's great, submitted all the paperwork, it's a bunch of paperwork. And I'm like, okay, awesome. And he says, well, you didn't get the final sign off on what we were doing, which is called grading, which is turning the dirt and compacting the dirt so we can put a building on it. So which we did. And at that point, inside of me was not going to have humility, was just ready to just tear his head off.
Now, wait a minute. You're saying you didn't get the sign off. That means there was a form.
There's a form.
That required a signature, and somebody forgot the
so every step of that project from the very beginning, when you break down concrete, old concrete, it's called demolition. Once you're done, you got to sign that off. And then once you're going to get into the dirt part, which is grading, you got to take that dirt, toil the dirt, put it back down, and recompact the dirt, you know, because they don't know if because of earthquakes or whatever, it's loosened up, or they want to see what's in there. So then that's another thing they sign off.
And it's who's just signing off?
Every step. What? These are the inspector. It's an inspector. We get assigned an inspector from that city that we're in to our project. And he's literally the king of the project. He's the guy
that's holding you accountable for doing everything right.
He's the one. So we got to make him happy in a sense where not by cutting any corners or lying or cheating or whatever. No, we have drawings that we have to do that are inspected and approved. We got to follow those drawings. And he has to follow the drawings. We have to follow the drawings. But sometimes, even though we have the drawings, these guys are saying, nope, I know that's in there, but I need you to do this. And we're like, we can get into this argument where it's like, well, where does it show me? It show me, and it goes on and on. And if you make him very angry, he's going to say, stop. Let's deal with this. And then he says, I don't have time right now. I'll be back. What that happens is it lengthens your time. You don't get that permit. And guess what? I get sued because I didn't finish the job. So this man came and everything was done. I made sure everything was done. And so what happened was the last time the inspector came, we were talking, and I get along with everybody. I had no issues with anybody. The guy takes his yellow card, and that's where he signs that. So we're at the grading point. So I'm talking to him, and I'm seeing him sign, but I didn't really look at what he was signing. So he signed the bottom of this card, putting the dates and what we did and when it was completed, but he didn't put his signature where it said grading. As I'm talking to him about the project, I take the card, I put it in my folder, and I'm like, all right, awesome, blah, 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 whatever. So we're ahead of schedule, 2 weeks ahead of schedule. So then my engineer oversees, and thank the Lord for this guy. He's a millennial. He's super smart. He's on the computer. He's on everything. So a week into it, we're saying, oh, hey, we're ahead of schedule. We're good. We'll get the permit. He goes, hey, did you know that we didn't get a sign off for the grading? So he didn't put his little name on the part that says grading, but he put the dates down here. And I'm like, what? And he goes, we need a sign off. He says that there wasn't the inspection done. And so we went, yeah, this, blah, blah, blah. So we're running to the office. This guy gets sick. He's going to be out for a week. That's the last week for us to get this final permit.
Your deadline don't care. It's coming no matter what.
They don't care. It's like, it's your problem. So this is where you separate the worldly and the Christian in you. This is where you have to, this is key. And I believe we all come to this fork in the road where, we've known in times that a split second can change your life forever, either for good or bad. I know that it seems like I'm blowing out of proportion, but seriously, this is a huge project.
But it was that inspector's fault. He didn't sign it. It's totally his fault.
Yes
right?
and no, because he was great. I was enjoying the conversation with him. He got to signing. We got to talking. He forgot to sign the last part. I could have easily said, oh, you forgot to sign, but I trusted.
Yeah.
Okay, so
look at what you're doing, though. You're taking some of that blame right upon yourself.
I am.
Where you could have just totally laid it on him.
And see, that's where it starts. It's in the past. I want to say this. In the past, I'm not going to go into it, but I'm going to say it real quick. In the past, when I was in the world, oh man, I would have just let them have it. I would have ruined it for myself because I'm wrong. I'm right. They're wrong. But in that instant, when the engineer, I hadn't even looked at the card for a week thinking, it's good. When he told me that, I ran to my truck, I got the file, and I'm like, oh my God. In that instant, I was very angry. These freaking people, blah, 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 blah. And then I stopped and I said, wait a minute. No. And I actually repented and asked for forgiveness because I was wrong. Then I realized what I just said. I should have looked at the card because I distracted him with the conversation because I thought the cat was in the bag. We're good. He knows what he's doing. But human error. I mean, I'm talking to him. I'm distracting him. He's enjoying the conversation. He fills this out. Oh, yeah, Frank, here you go. I'm like, oh, thank you. Everything's done. So he overlooked that part. I didn't check that part. If I would have told him, he would have said, oh, yeah. And that's it. So I can't say that it was all on him.
Yeah, if you would have come after him guns blazing, you incompetent idiot, you're supposed to be signing this thing off. That guy would have bricked you off like a...
I would have ruined something for myself that would have really impacted my business because I did not have any humility. I didn't humble myself. I didn't stop to smell the roses. All that would have been out the window. But you know what? I praise God that, I don't know, he put something in my head that as I'm ranting off, I stopped right in the middle of it, like the needle in the record, and thought to myself, whoa, wait a minute, Frank. That's not the way it's supposed to go. And I went over that situation in my head and realized it was much my fault as it was his, but it wasn't a fault to blame someone with. It was a distraction that we caused for one another because we enjoyed the conversation and the guy was actually really great. So I said, okay, in that split second, I need to make a decision. What's my decision? Humble yourself. Come before with humility. What that means is understand what happened, go back to the drawing board with them, and then tell them the situation, and I'm sure they'll be fine. Okay, that's the beginning of that. Okay, so that's where that happened. Well, it wasn't that simple, because when I told him that, my guy was out sick. The guy that was replacing him, he's like, I don't know anything about it. You're going to have to wait till he comes back. And I said, I can't, because when he comes back, I'm history. And I told him the whole thing that was going to happen. I got tested. I got hung up on. I got told you got the wrong number. I got told, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. It's your problem. You got to wait to inspect. I mean, all the things that would cause you to just lose it. And believe me, I lost it in my head. I lost it in my heart, but I never blurted out. So it's like I knew wrong from right, but I just needed to blow up in my head. That was the human in me. But I had to come to terms with the way that I have to go to this office, because this has happened. People go to this office and start yelling at everybody. Their projects never get done, ever again. They hold grudges, and they know who you are. And whenever you have another project in that city, I'm sorry, not going to happen. So that's one thing you need to know. But the other thing is, what is the correct way? How do you treat someone that, again, I don't know what their life is like. I don't know what they had to deal with that day. They're a father like me. They have children. They have a wife. Maybe they're divorced. I don't know. See, you don't stop and think about those situations about people when you're all about yourself. But when you realize that we're equal, that we're all the same, nobody is different, especially before the Lord, you got to humble yourself.
And when you come and you gave your humility, you made it possible for that man to find his own humility.
Yeah.
And that's where you found the solution together.
And that's, long story short, this guy that wasn't my inspector, it was an older guy and he had an attitude. I came before him and literally this is what I said in the office. I said, sir, please. I said, look, if you see everything, we've done everything. We were ahead of time. If I don't get you to sign this, I'm going to be ruined. 33 years in the business, I've never had this issue. Can you please help me? I'm begging you. That's literally what I said. And there was people in there and people were looking at me like, what the heck's going on? I didn't care because I was being very honest. I threw my heart on that countertop and I said, that's all I got. But, also with that, I prayed and said, Lord, I don't believe that this is how it's going to end for me. Because literally, guys, this is a big job. And it would have hurt me tremendously because lawsuits and everything else, it's a huge company that relied on me and their clients. And I've been their guy. That's why they keep calling me. And this would have just shattered everything. Not that I care about who I am in their eyes, but financially, I would have been in really bad shape. And so, but there was no fear. There was no fear. There was hope. I want you to understand that. There was no fear because I have a God that could do it all. There was hope. But there was a concern. There was a major concern, which is different than fear. But this is all going on inside of me. But the one thing that shined through everything was that I literally came with humility. I humbled myself, and I was very sincere. The only other thing I needed to do is shed tears. They didn't come out. I felt like I was going to do that. You were there. And I said in earlier recordings that I'm very emotional. But in that moment, I thought, I just didn't believe this is the way it was going to end.
Yeah.
This man looks at me and he just stared at me. And I'm holding the packet like this with the yellow card on top. And there's one of those shields from COVID in between us. And he goes, for like a minute. Let me see that. And I slid it through the little thing. He looks at it. And I'm going, please, sir, sign it. I mean, he could hear me. And he goes to sign it and he goes, you don't have a landscaping plan. I'm like, oh my God.
A what? A landscape?
He goes, aren't you supposed to plant some trees in front of this building? I said, no, sir, there's nothing like that. I'm thinking, oh my God, don't tell me, and he goes, all right, Frank. And he signed it. Had I been a schmuck, had I made a face, had a smirk or whatever, that would have ruined it. Did I walk away feeling like I was a wimp, like I humiliated myself in front of all these people? No, I didn't. Yeah. I felt like, you know what? I did what I was taught to do by my God, is humility. Humble yourself. Be honest.
You could have won the battle of your pride and then lost the whole war.
But with that personality you're dealing with, he would have shut you down.
Yeah.
He would have shut you down.
You know what a question was that came to my mind? Had I done this if there wasn't a deadline? That thought scared me. Because I thought to myself, am I just being this way because I'm in serious need? Would I have done this if there was no deadline?
Yeah.
And I just prayed and said, Lord, I want to believe that I still would have done the same thing. But what I'm trying to tell you guys with that is we're human and we make mistakes, but we do have the option of how we're going to live out the rest of our lives, what decisions we're going to make.
Well, sometimes, God sets up a deadline or sets up something like that. It's how you get the wine. You squeeze the grape.
Yeah.
And that squeezed, and what came out of you was humility, was a fine vintage of humility.
And that was a huge lesson. That moment, that happened 3 weeks ago. It was another pivotal. I have moments in my life that were pivotal moments where I got molded again and then remolded again and then remolded again, thinking that was never going to be possible because I'm made this way. To the point where now I'm just putty in his hands. And I'm like, Lord, you know what? That's what it's taught me. It's taught me whenever a situation like this comes again, Lord, don't allow me. Please don't allow me to have Frank get in the way. Just have you seen when people are the potter is building a vase or something, and then he screws up and he goes like that and starts over? I said, do that to me, Lord, every time, and rebuild me, because I want to be that perfect vase. And I know that perfection will not come because I'm not perfect, but I want to strive for that. And how is by allowing these moments to speak into my life, not just brush. Oh, okay, I got through this one. Great. I'm brushing it off. Yeah. No, this is a pivotal moment.
They say humility is a wonderful thing to have, and it'll serve you well in life, but it comes at a high price.
It does.
And some of you guys could be very young and young bucks, and you got all that pride, but humility will serve you so well. And people are so kind when you come. Like I've had issues with staff before where I allowed things to happen in the office that were wrong. Now I got to ratchet down and clamp down on this, right? It's something I got laxed on. And I apologized to the staff. I said, you guys, I'm sorry. I allowed this environment to come in and it doesn't fly well. We're going to have to tighten it up. But I accept responsibility that I allowed it to get to that. You know what I mean? And so, and they were so kind about that. It wasn't like, oh, now you're trying to do none of that. They understood. We talked it. I took ownership of my part in it. And I came very humble. Like, guys, I got a problem now. Corporate's saying this and we're doing this. And,
you have to believe. I told you people were watching. A lot of people were in that office. They're there at 7 a.m. because everybody wants to be there first. It was packed in there. I have to believe that out of all those people that were watching, whoever heard it the clearest got a message. But I didn't do it to be an example to them in that way, even though we're called to represent God everywhere we go. But at that moment, I was thinking about my situation, but practicing what I've been taught, what I'm being taught, and trying to do it to the best of my ability. Yeah. But in that, I got to believe that even that man that signed it, because I spoke those words to him. I don't know that anybody's ever done that, but I'm sure I'm not the only guy, because I've heard some very nasty things in there, and people get thrown out, and that's how bad it is.
In fairness, though, you're pushed to the edge.
You are.
But my gosh, all that stress. And then one moron one guy makes a mistake. Yeah. Now you're facing all of this. Then you got this other guy who's apathetic, and that kills.
Yeah.
Like, dude, can you be cool? Why don't you have to act like this? You know I'm right. They could cut you slack, and then they're gonna, that's really hard to stay humble in.
And I think the difference is when you're in that moment and you're submitting that form to the guy, Real humility says, I'm willing to accept whatever comes. If I'm waylaid in this, God will raise me back up again.
Yeah.
But if you were doing that to manipulate him, to put on a show, that's the opposite of humility.
And it won't work. Yeah. It doesn't work.
You know, I had a situation similar. I landed this job, and in my industry, it's like, that's the mecca. It's the job you want, right? But I had a problem. I had recently finished a degree, and I put that on the thing saying, hey, yeah, I got this degree. And I turned it in. Well, the HR department calls me and says, we got a big problem here. The college can't confirm this degree. And I was like, oh, shoot. And they're saying, if we can't confirm it, we're going to have to retract our offer. And this was the golden job, right? So I said, oh, let me call the college. So I get this lady on the phone, and she just doesn't care.
Yeah.
She does not care. Made me a little bitter towards the educational institution. I said, listen, I'm finished. You guys just don't show it in the postings. And she says, well, yeah, it takes a few months. I said, listen, and I told her the situation. No, nothing I can do for you. I thought to myself, wow, you know?
I got a lot of those.
Okay. I'm really upset. Your apathy feels like poison to me, man. And I just, you're in this higher education little bubble, and you don't really know what the outside world is. All these things are going through my mind, right? But here I go. So I said, well, let me call the dean of the school. I never met the dean before. I didn't know. So I get it. I do a walk-in on the dean. And the guy sit there. No, I called, and they said he's here between these hours, and I just showed up. And so I come in and I'm talking to him. I say, hey, listen. And I start telling him my problem. I tell him the situation, the opportunity I have before me, and how it could ruin it and everything. And he listened. He was actually a really nice guy. And then he goes, you know, I thought you were going to come in here yelling. And I said, it's not my style. I go, even if you don't tell me what I want to hear, that's not my style. But I think that went a long way, because he said, well, I can't guarantee you this person works hard. I'm like, I'm already giving up on that person. I'm like, you know, I don't. And he goes, but we'll see. And sure enough, he got it done for me. And so that was a blessing. But I didn't go, like you were saying, he could have told me no. I would have been, okay, this is how the chips fall. You know, it's okay.
Yeah.
But it does take humility, because in a sense, you feel so wronged, and you want to just lash out and go at him, you know, and like, and can you cut a brother a break? You know what I mean? Right. And so, but you come in with humility, and you say, hey, this is important to me and my family. And this is what could happen if you don't go, you know?
I believe, go ahead.
The humility is like a skeleton key. It unlocks the goodness in the person you're in conflict with. And I think it's even more powerful the more dominant your relationship is with the person you're dealing with. Yeah. When you step down and become humble with somebody, like your kid, like maybe they did something, you flipped out, you blew up, you screamed, you yelled, and then you think about it and you walk back into their bedroom, you say, you know what? I was wrong. I powered up. I went completely dad insane, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how the Lord says you have to bring order in your home? You have to put your home in order. That's key, man, because exactly what you said right now. If you can do that with your wife and your kids, if you can literally come to them and say, hey, you know what? I screwed up. I apologize. I am so sorry for making you feel this way. It took me a long time to be able to do that, because I thought everybody deserved it. And that's how I was raised.
And you think the man is supposed to be untouchable.
All the answers, and you
set standards in your home. You set these standards that you can't even reach sometimes. But you don't realize that, because, well, those standards were set for you. But as I'm moving forward in my journey with the Lord, I was fighting in my home all the time. And it's been recently, it's been maybe 3 years, okay, that I fully understood humility in my home. It was the biggest example that I could have to go out in the world and know how it works, meaning exactly what we're talking about. So what I'm saying to you guys is, you have to have that in you. You have to find it and find the humility. It doesn't mean you're a wimp. It doesn't mean you're a wuss. It doesn't mean you're stupid, you're dumb, because those are all the things I thought. You know, I thought humility meant I'm not going to humiliate myself in front of people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Make an ass out of
weakness.
myself. I'm sorry to say that, but that's how I felt. No. Actually, humility creates strength, creates connections. It gives the people the ability to want to give you the time of day. Or if you take it even deeper, when you come with humility, people listen to people disrespect them all the time. And you come in with humility, they're like, oh man, you're a breath of fresh air.
It does open their heart.
Because he said, I thought you were going to come yelling.
No.
He was already expecting that.
Yeah.
So his guns were loaded.
Yeah.
But there is no fight.
But I was mad.
No, yeah.
I was mad. I wanted to find out, like, because what I felt like, because I come from, very humble beginnings, I felt like the educational system's failing me. How separated are you guys from the reality of real work? And you're hiding in your little educational institution. Yeah, and so I was loaded, but I think that was God softening my heart and saying, hey, you could approach this differently. Another way that it happens to me is with my boys. They'll drag me into projects. Hey, I want to do this. I want to build that. I want to do this, right? And here I am. Oh, yeah. Okay, step aside here. Let me show you. We're going to do it this way.
That was me.
And I've been catching myself, and this is what I've been telling both of them.
It's no longer their project.
Yeah, exactly. I tell them, listen, just tell me what you want. Whatever you want, I'll do it. And I had to make myself step back. And then even as they're telling me, I'm like, and I have to catch myself, shut up, Rick, shut up, Rick, shut up, Rick.
Yeah.
And do it the way they want it. Unless they say, do it for me, then here I am. I love that. But it's funny, but you have to have humility because I have to respect them. They're men providing for families. They have their own way of looking at it. And I got to step back from that and just, okay, now I'm your day laborer. What do you need? Just tell me what you need. I'll do it. I have
humility brings you healing. It gives you peace. Why? Because you interacted with another human being in such a loving way.
In a human way, huh?
In a human, and what truly the reality of what it is that the human way is, which is that's what we're created. We're created to love one another. But most of us are too busy or too irritated, too bitter to even tap into that. But I'm telling you guys, if you can experience that moment when somebody literally pays attention to you because of the human that you are, not because you have a title, not because you come with a need, not because you deserve something, but basically because it's my heart. I'm opening my heart to you and letting you know, I need this from you, sir. I need this from you, ma'am. I'm in trouble. Can you help me? And think about it. DMV, the bank, anywhere you go, think about this. They will make or break your day. But none of these people are hateful. None of these people are mean. It's just they've been so mistreated behind that counter that you're just another, I'm sorry to say this, but another idiot. They just, like you said, the man said, they're expecting already your reaction to it.
Yeah.
I had those thoughts. I was calling Verizon or one of those. You know how you get a million, electronic voice?
I already know.
AI voice. Press this. And you're only trying to get to a human being, right? So I'm going to finally get to a human being. And I'm just snarky. I'm frustrated. And then the line clicks off on me. It's like after 30 minutes, right out. But I came to an epiphany. I had a moment. I said, I get it now. Everything's this way. Customer service is gone. Human beings are gone in the process, right? You're gonna have to wait 20, 30 minutes to talk to one. And even then, they can hang up on you and say, the system hung up. I don't know. And there's going to be 200 more people. You don't know who you're going to get next, right? So if you understand that dynamic, what I've been doing more lately, I'm much more kinder. I don't care if I waited 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. I really need your help. I need to understand this, And so when I go much kinder, now I'm winning them over to be my advocate. You know what I mean? But I had to let go of that anger in me because I'm listening to recordings and this stupid music forever long, but it's so hard to do. But in this day and age, you're not even going to get anywhere because they could hang up on you so easily and they'll never get caught. And they're off on another country anyway, you know what I mean? So you're hopeless. But if you tell them like that, hey, I respect you. Hey, I need your help. Now I've recruited you, and so, but it's hard to do.
Early on the episode, you said something about it's the key that opens.
Skeleton key.
And I want to use that again. I want to bring that up. I think humility and humbling yourself is the only key that can open almost every door.
Yeah.
I've experienced it. On those phone calls you're talking about,
Yeah.
how many people cuss these people out?
Oh, yeah.
Tell them terrible things.
Yeah.
And they're like, forget it with you, man.
Yeah. I don't have to deal with
But
this.
I've had experiences where I'm too impatient, talk to them nicely, and guess what? They connect me. Let me connect you. Let me put you to this department. Let me do this for you. Let me see, sir. They go above and beyond.
Thank them for their expertise.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do after 30, 40 minutes of waiting, and you're dealing with an issue you need fixed, and and then they send you to another department.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but humility serves you well.
And it's because you stand down. I'm not going to power up in my own strength to accomplish anything. What I'm going to do is stand down and allow your power to rise. And you find that people want to be kind.
Yeah.
I did a job one time for a very rich doctor who lives in Venice, and it's on this very exclusive sofa. We masked it off because I'm doing the leather. We masked the wood off, and it was a wood veneer. When I pulled the tape off, it pulled the veneer off, like ragged. And like, I didn't even notice when I did it, because I was paying attention to the leather. When we deliver it, the customer looks at it and goes, "What happened here?" And this is like a super expensive sofa. And like my heart just sank. And I did that. So I go to my contractor who had set the whole thing up. And I came to him, with this attitude, is like, I'm in your hands, God. I'm not going to put myself in his hands. I'm not going to put myself in my own hands and try to win the day. I'm just going to stand here in your hands. So I show him what happened to the sofa. The guy, he's an Australian guy, and he goes, "Brother, got in there." Like you got solvent, got in there and it loosened it. Brother, got in there, screaming at me. And I'm going, "Yeah, I know, I totally screwed this up. God, what a freaking disaster." And he goes, "Brother, got in there." And it started to soften. It went from, product, like, "Product got in there." Product got in there. It's like you can see him, his power melted down to where finally he just realized, I don't know what it was in his past, but he was relating to this mistake as if he was remembering something that he once did. And he gave me grace. And he happened to have a guy that, knew how to work with veneer and stuff and fixed it. And I got out of the hole.
There is a power. There truly is an energy and a power in our words.
Yeah.
Because you can either trigger someone or you can love someone over, but in truth, not, scheming someone. But I've seen it. And it's happened to me when somebody has given me my position. I don't go around telling people, I'm a general contractor and I'm in charge. I don't do that. But more times than none, people come to me and tell me things like, "Oh, you're the boss. You're the man. Hey, you're awesome, man. Hey." You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, "Oh, man," I go, I appreciate that. But it's just years of experience, years of messing up.
Yeah, but it stands out because most guys don't do that. In this world, even guys that are Christians don't really get it unless they're really, really blessed with insight. Now you're blessed because we just revealed to you the skeleton key that can turn the tide in so many issues in life. And that's just walking in humility. And think about the examples laid by our Lord. Here's Jesus, who has every right to be God of the universe, coming down and humbling himself to make room for people that didn't care at all about him, and to take all their sin so that they could one day realize that, he paid a price for me. You can't get any more humble than to go from that level to that level like he did. And he's saying, this is how it's done. The way you power up is to empty out. Your power comes when you get as empty as you possibly can, and I can flow right through you. So when I'm telling my daughter, I'm sorry for screaming, that was my bad. What I did is I just opened right up, and it was God rolling right through me and opened her up. And that's when beautiful things can start to happen in your life.
I think if a man has a few dollars in his wallet, but he's just loaded with humility, you're going to get a lot further.
It serves you well. Humility is a blessing, and it usually does come at a high price, and that's okay. Humility is not weakness at all. Yeah. Well, guys, I think we're probably over on our time right now.
Yeah, for sure. Lord,
yeah.
We just love you, Father, and we thank you so much for setting these examples before us and for helping us discover these moments. And I don't mind if you step on us once in a while to get the wine out of the grape. It's not always a pleasant experience, but it's always leads to pure gold.
Yes.
Not just for me, but for everybody around me.
Yes.
So please let your anointing flow with those that have heard our voices today, and let them be inspired to walk humbly before you.
Yes.
In the name of Jesus.
In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Guys, see you guys all next time.